right, we're live. There we go.
Sick.
So, 1 second, setting up something else. It's always kind of funny setting up this thing because it's like I'm both the producer and also like talking on it at the same time.
You're the editor and the actor.
Exactly. So it's a lot going on simultaneously. So if I'm not looking around, it's not because I'm distracted. It's because I'm trying to make sure the buttons all work. But yeah, we're back. Round two. What's it like been a week later?
Still here, still in my apartment. That has not changed. It's a nice day in New York, so I'm taking that for granted. I will say not using Twitter since this started is probably done a lot for my mental health.
You haven't used it at all? Like you've been completely off?
Yeah, so like you send me links and stuff and I was like, I can't click it because I've blocked it up.
Now I feel bad. I didn't know. When people are like, I'm done, they usually like, I'm kind of done. Like it's like always a thing of like, I'm like not a full rule, but impressed.
So I never had the app on my phone. That was like kind of a long time ago, but I would still check in on the mobile app. I don't do that anymore. And then I blocked that website along with Reddit and the New York Times, weirdly enough. Yeah, and it's actually been really good. So the days go by a lot quicker. Because turns out people send you the articles anyway, so it doesn't really matter. How are you? How's Jersey?
The biggest thing is that I feel like it's been pretty like boredom. Honestly, it's the biggest thing, just because I do miss like being able to like go anywhere in New York and so forth. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing. Other than that, though, I mean, it's pretty like it's a mind game at this point.
It is. It's mental. Yeah. I think also like now people are really kind of locked in, like, so people aren't really leaving their houses, like so it's like everyone's like holding on, which is good.
Yeah. I definitely felt the shift last week of like this shifting from like we're in this weird space to being like, I guess I'll be here for a minute.
Yeah. If we watch all these episodes, like someone else finds them later on, and like how progressively like we
that's kind of my secret hope, right? My secret hope is that this is the captain's log of like what happens day 12, day 16.
It's like all right, so week 34, I sold my Xbox. No,
I'll be proud if we get to that level of fidelity.
I'm grateful I am not a healthcare worker on the front lines or someone who has to do their labor in person, because I think we're very lucky, or at least I feel very lucky.
Yeah. But I guess maybe we should talk about what's going on in Meritland in terms of what we've been up to while sitting in apartments. I mean, so the biggest thing is that we've been working on. Well, I guess Kirk, since you're the product person, what's been like the goal, I guess, for us as like a product overall, like so far?
I mean, high level, we're just trying to grow the usage of Merit, but kind of more specifically is we realize that a lot of the value in the product is the coaching session. So people asking for help, getting coaching and advice. And we realize in the app, there's lots we can do to improve the quality and quantity of those sessions. So it's really just about reducing the barriers to kind of ask for help, to get help, and to get feedback. So kind of what we made last year, but like better for everyone, less steps. It's kind of like the high level product strategy. And Randy is kind of working on some feature work to kind of enable that this week.
Yeah, and we're building it out basically as fast as I've actually been kind of busy because it's like a complicated thing to code up. But hopefully when it's done, hopefully it works, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So
it will. It will. I'm sure it will, Randy.
Survived this long. Maybe it'll continue. So that's like the thing we've been doing, and hopefully, like, I mean, I don't know when whoever is seeing this will see this, but hopefully next week when we do the next user newsletter, or by the following week, you'll like kind of see first draft of that, and that'll be like an ongoing thing to kind of improve that. So really excited for that. And I guess like what's been going on like outside of our houses a lot.
Yeah, well, I don't leave my house that often, so I kind of I don't use Twitter. So I think the kind of interesting thing that was kind of shared in our Slack was this kind of, it's called like the candor list for who's hiring, freezing, who's hiring, who's doing layoffs. And I think that's a pretty useful thing to maybe share with the people listening, which is what are the companies, are they hiring, are they doing layoffs, are they doing a freeze? I think that's kind of the big top of mind thing for everyone kind of in the Merit ecosystem or community, like people work in tech, but the layoffs and freezes it's kind of uneven, right? Like ad tech's being hit really hard, co-working, travel, delivery. There's lots of layoffs, but other industries are pretty stable, maybe with like more hiring freezes. So I think that's the big thing I'm kind of thinking about. One kind of rumor, this is not like pure facts, but I do see a wave or a sense of internships and co-ops like going into the summer that was either being paused or kind of canceled. So that's, you can also see a big kind of demand in the intern market of a lot of people who were thought they're going to have internships and co-ops don't because of travel or restriction or just kind of budget cuts or a combination of them. So that's like a big thing that I'm looking at thinking about.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty shitty, right? Like to be in a position to think you're going to like do your internship and not be able to, if that's actually happening as much as we think it is.
And it's one of your first entries into the economy for a lot of these people, right? It's like the first thing they ever do. So it's quite a lot.
My brother, he not in tech, he's in finance, but he basically entered the workforce essentially during 2008. So it's like he was definitely kind of like had those battle scars like basically day one. So it's it definitely has influenced how he thinks about it.
I worked at the startup which does not exist anymore. It's called Elastra in San Francisco. I was in Waterloo. I was like in my third year, and I joined September 2008, and I finished December 2008. And like during that, the financial crisis happened, and I remember the CEO like getting us together. I was like an intern. I was like coding like JavaScript. Like I was like just like a person they hired. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. And I wasn't fully processing it because I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna get fired, and they had enough money for my internship, which is like 1 month of pay. They were not paying me a lot of money. And they kind of called us into the room and they explained kind of what happens. And it was like pretty, they're like, it's really rough. They were very optimistic though. They didn't think it was going to really affect them. But that company went out of business shortly after.
Oh, wow.
So so they totally like the tone and the direction was completely mismatched from what actually happened. Whereas I think this time people I think are leaning into overreacting or course correcting kind of up front, which is bad because there are more layoffs, but it's at least people are dealing in the realities of it. But I remember that meeting being so like disjointed from what happened, and then in like January, like or like shortly after, like massive layoffs shrunk down, and then eventually like petered off into like dissolution, right? But yeah, I remember that vividly. I was like 20 years old.
And I guess I mean, so you haven't gone through like a major. Besides that, you haven't got as a full-time employee, you haven't gone through like a major, just kind of like recession layoff, but you have seen like actual layoffs. Like
I've seen tons of layoffs. Yeah, in Microsoft there were like 3 waves of layoffs, and then when my company I worked at Hightower, when we merged with VTS, there was a round of layoffs as well. So I've seen a lot of layoffs, but not been a full-time employee, full-time worker during an economic recession. This is it right now.
I guess at least during the layoffs you have seen like what's been kind of like the path of people who kind of like seem to be able to bounce back. Or like maybe like even what to expect for yourself, and like what you like aim for yourself to like kind of like make it work out. From what you've seen.
I think since those were kind of targeted layoffs, like it was a company laying people off, a lot of those people, since they worked in tech, there was a lot of shock and there was disbelief because it all happens really quickly. But a good chunk of them bounce back and are able to find jobs in that kind of economy, right? Because there's still a global economy. I think with this recession, it's going to be interesting because certain parts of the sector, I believe, will be in a recession, and other parts will be hiring. So it's almost like you have to make the hops between like, if you're working in a travel or delivery startup, you're probably not going to go back and work at a travel or delivery startup, but rather like transition within that economy. And there's like a hedge where like tech is going to be the last affected, but I actually don't know the order. So like, I don't know how it kind of ripples from, but so I think those are a little bit different because like when I worked at Microsoft, they were doing multiple waves of layoffs, but those people ended up finding jobs because there's still a larger economy. This is a slightly different, right?
Well, I mean, tech is unique in that like like a large percentage of the actual economy is like, based on being on the internet and stuff like that. So like a Zoom or a Slack, or even a lot of the healthcare companies who literally just have a massive increase in volume, right? They actually have a lot of stuff they like need done. So it's
booming.
Yeah, they really are.
Our company has more usage and more spikes because people are at home and need actual coaching. So it's very uneven, right? Like totally. I read some article where they were saying this is closer to like a disaster relief than a pure kind of economic recession, where like the financial thing is it's a sector of the economy, but eventually ripples everywhere. This is more like a hurricane, but the water and power still works. And instead of like 4 hours on a Sunday or like, and then you clean up the aftermath, it's like you pause it's a disaster relief that spreads to all the states. It's a very different kind of beast.
I mean, we'll share this in the description, but I want to like actually show this this survey we're talking about.
Do it.
So it's basically like Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Still getting used to like live streaming on Zoom, just kind of a trip. So basically what it is a survey of just like all the different companies that are like hiring or freezing based on like what's been going on. So people put it in individually, so obviously take it with a grain of salt in terms of just like, what is going on, but it is kind of interesting. They do include some stats around like what the different markets are. So kind of like, as you can expect, travel and so forth is a higher percentage of companies that are doing layoffs. Same for retail, because that's in person, and for marketing as well. So I think it's worth a resource kind of looking through it. Yeah.
So financial, so I was gonna say, who's hiring, right? So financial services, meals and entertainment, healthcare, consulting, and always consulting. Yeah. Interesting. It's interesting with marketing is that it's half hiring freeze, half hiring, and then a good chunk of layoffs too. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of makes sense though, right? It's like a massive alignment towards things that are like business services and IT seem to be pretty healthy actually of all the things in here, and financial services, because I mean, people basically are working from home a lot more and need different like services to actually use, or people actually like need to be like helping out for just kind of like increase in like need for capacity, both on like the front lines and also just like general healthcare needs that can't be met by like the general, like the overcrowded, like just normal channels. So I mean, this kind of makes sense if you take a step back of just like, the most high order spending needs actually like right now. But I think it's worth just kind of like knowing just also just like from what people are seeing, like what's going on at the actual company. So I think this is a good thing. There's also some resources at the end of just like what to do if you are in layoffs. Obviously we just want to talk for a second about them, but I think this is something really worth kind of like taking a look at if this is something that makes sense to. Awesome. So we'll share that in the, actually I'll put that in chat right now.
Yeah, do it.
So cool. What else is going on this past week?
I've been watching four episodes of Tiger King. That took a little bit of my soul and gave me some good life there. Let's see what else. Drake released a new video. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I did. What's a new song?
Called like the Tootsie Slide. I could share that in the chat too. But it's effectively him doing like a social distancing kind of thing where he's like in his mansion just walking around with his goons. But he's obviously rich. So that's the different part. But it was like a solid 6 out of 10. It's like a TikTok kind of song, right? They're trying to do like a dance and shit. But I thought it was very funny. It's a little bit of light palate cleanser.
Yeah, I mean, so for everyone who's on our mailing list, we've been trying to just like have we opened up our Slack to try to have a space to just generally like, bullshit about stuff. You should post that in the Slack, by the way, the 6 Drake video.
I'll post that. It's a solid
it's above
average.
50.
It's a solid average one.
Worth spending 5 minutes on. So at least I'm just gonna like show a couple things that came up this week that I thought were pretty funny in there. One being one that's also super useful. I'll go with useful first. Is just like different remote working tools. Sorry, 1 second. We are getting glitch on something. All right, the useful one isn't working, so I'm instead just going to show the not useful one. Yeah, so it's this one, which is basically so as anyone who tuned in last week knows that like Snapchat has a bunch of filters that are like you can basically like make yourself look like Snapchat filters on your phone, but on your like Zoom. And so apparently someone's boss like thought that they could turn on a Zoom filter that makes them look like a potato for fun, but then they just couldn't figure out how to turn it off. So their entire team had to pretend like their boss was not a potato, even though they clearly were on the screen for like an entire meeting. So the good and the bad.
The big takeaway is like, wow, a lot of people use Microsoft Teams. I did not realize that. I was like, wow, that's a lot of people. Donnie's nodding. She's like, yeah, I use it. Yeah. I know, Donnie. I know. No, I work there. Melanie likes Microsoft Teams.
Yes, cool.
She says it's better than Slack.
Wow, those are fighting words. I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
She's kidding. I don't think she uses Slack.
Another one is since I'm basically working from home, like in New Jersey, I basically discovered a old baby photo. So this is apparently the same energy has been going on for a while now. So
I can totally see you being that. Yeah. Also, is that an actual tree or a background?
I think it's a background. I think it's like a fake background.
You're not just posted up on a tree.
Yeah.
Wow, that is exactly
yeah.
Got the little polo and everything.
Yeah, I know. Just like, got the hands crossed, like the business look. I mean, I think I literally have a hands crossed look on the Merit website right now.
Oh my God!
Literally nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
So,
yeah, that's what we got. And I want to find this actual remote resources thing. I mean, I can include in the Slack as well, because I don't know if I can find it right now.
Is it just like a list of all the tools and services and things like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are all those services doing like discounts or free trials, or are they kind of like doing any kind of expansions? I see, like, when I go to the Notion landing page or the Slack landing page, there's like how to work with remote, or like there's all these like case studies, but is anyone doing like deals?
I feel like the minimum that people are doing is that if you are someone from a school, they'll like give you basically free access.
Cool.
So I think that's like the bare minimum. And then I have seen a bunch of like things where it's like more like 3 months off, or like just like you can upgrade a SKU or something, like you can upgrade like to a higher price point for free to like kind of like get the extra benefit. So like Calendly, for example, like you don't have to upgrade right now. It's like you attach Zoom links and things like that, which people kind of need because like all meetings are remote now. So I feel like people are adjusting to kind of get more resources. I know part of me also feels like there is a little bit of a deluge of like resources going on, like just too many. Like
for sure.
Yeah.
And everyone's trying to shove like remote work down and be like, this is the way to work. We're all traumatized by a light pandemic.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the first like 5 people who gave their resources were like great, but then like the next 50, I was like, I don't need this.
So it's too late for my tweet storm of how remote work is the future of work. It's too late for that.
Yes, it was too late about 3 months ago. So I mean, maybe my question is, before we actually get into like this like next interview, is like, do you like this more or less? Like, if you actually could like have the chance to kind of revamp your living situation to like make it a more permanent thing, like, do you like this more or less?
I think it's really hard to discern because it's not a choice, right? We're all forced to do this. I think human beings are very adaptable, and like I think humans can adapt to like spaces and situations much faster than like technology or objects or anything like that. So I think like everyone kind of makes the most of it, and you get used to it really quickly. For me, in my personal answer, which is like I live in a studio apartment with my wife in like Lower Manhattan. It's not really designed to be a great workspace, and that was like kind of the whole point of it, is to like just be a space to relax in. But psych, we flipped it around and made it a workspace now.
Yeah.
But I think I just want the choice. So the ability to work from home or the ability to go to the office, and I would like that choice not to be made for me. That's all.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, freedom. That's kind of like
freedom.
what I signed up for. That's what America. That's what I signed up for in this place.
Yeah.
And I think that like the lack of that's pretty annoying. I think the other thing for me, I mean, personally, I definitely am someone who likes. It's my vibe is that if you're someone who either has like a really, really, really dope roommate situation, or if you have a family, then like remote work is like it like great, because you get to hang out with your friends all day or something, or just hang out in a little like space with people you like, your family. But if you're someone who's just like like a lot of New Yorkers are just very like fluid in terms of like where they go and who they hang out with, the different like spaces they're like existing in, then it's kind of annoying, because it's just like you kind of remove that entire optionality that you kind of signed up for that you chose to do, like all the things to do. So that's something that I'm not necessarily a fan of. So
do you think I assume people work a lot more remote outside of major cities, I would assume then, right?
Like, so kind of my hot take is that this has kind of forced everyone to expose themselves to all the options that are available. And I imagine some percentage of the people who wouldn't have tried to necessarily have tried it, and now we're like interested in like doing more of it. So I can see more just like work from home day or things like that. But the bigger hot take is I genuinely do think that kind of like there will be an increase in people kind of like moving to like a smaller cities to be able to like work remote in some way. Like I do think that like is something that will happen more.
Yeah.
Because
and to
it's kind of
reduce like real estate prices is a big one too, right?
Yeah. That, and also just a general thing of like like our generation is unique in viewing the city as a place where you could like live an entire life, like a whole like raising kids and things like that. I feel like some percentage of those people will, just for like seeing just kind of like how brittle can sometimes be, will be like, I'd rather go back, even not necessarily like go to suburbs, even just like thinking like I'll go to Kingston, New York, or like I'll go to like Evergreen, Colorado, or just like kind of smaller towns that exist across America that used to be kind of where a lot of people clustered in. Like just like maybe we should go to there. So it's like the urban vibe of a small community without like the actual being in a major city and actually being in the suburbs, which are in their own way kind of weird.
Maybe it'll be a push between like to honestly a more like something between rural and suburban, and like the suburban aspects will be more part of the city, but like the suburbs actually get eaten out a little bit more. At least
that's essentially what I'm trying to say.
For the particular kind of workers. I think also New York is unique because like the real estate market is like beyond fucked up, and like people, to your point, people do stay here for much longer than most people would stay in a city. Like in any other place, if you moved within America, went to Chicago, and like had a kid or a family, then you would kind of go to the suburbs kind of by default. Like in Toronto, it's like that. In Canada, it's like that. I think that's like very unique to New York. People will like live multiple life stages in like in the same city, which is super unique. Yeah. What a time.
What a time. Yeah. And I'm just curious like what that means for just like, I mean, obviously this is like, we're like more tech focused, but it's like, I can see, I mean, YC's next batch is entirely remote, which is kind of crazy, right? Like, it's kind of crazy that was like, they were like in the list of people who were just like unwilling to go like not in person for almost 20 years, right? So it's like
psych.
Like they were like, you have to come here, and then now they're like, oh wait, we can't force that anymore.
I think the thing about like, I think a lot of companies will realize like, we can actually do this remote, like maybe not all of it, but much more than what we wanted to do before or were willing to do. And like, it may be better and may be worse, but we can do it. It's not like a stop. Like YC's whole thing is like, it can't be done remote. Like, no way we could do this remote. And they're like, you're going to do it remote now. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. I feel it was interesting with YC too. Like their startup school was online and video too. So I feel like they were prototyping this to a degree, and like that worked reasonably well too. So I think their heads were kind of, I'm sure they're like, it was being pulled out of there too. But yeah, what an interesting time. I guess like what's not going to go remote? Like we still want to go to restaurants, right? I assume after all this, we still want to go to bars. Yeah.
I mean, so could accelerate the like, you know, remember Cloud Kitchens, that crazy company? For those who know, it's Travis Kalanick, the Uber guy, has a new company which is just making, like, you know, it's Seamless where there'll be like restaurants, you can't find the restaurant in real life. That's because it's just like a factory somewhere that makes food. I mean, like, I could make more of those, honestly, just because.
That's like, definitely like that has to be a front for something for sure. It is like that's just like whatever like the billionaire version of a front is. That's what it is. But I think at least I was talking to someone who actually knows about this stuff. Like they say delivery is not necessarily up. Like you think there'd be a huge spike, but no, I think people are just cooking more. Which is probably good for various reasons. You could even do a hot take where like maybe people cook more and go out more, but then delivery gets eaten too. Because I do feel like that could be bifurcated a little bit too. I think it's also just like if you're lucky enough to still have a job now and you can work remote, I think it really questions like what's the true value of the office? Where am I truly productive? What is a commute really worth? Like, you know, like if I can cook every day and like I don't commute, that's like a pretty substantial like life change, right? A lot of those services are born out of the fact that people don't have surplus time, right? It's like it's a pure time for money argument, right? But yeah, I also just hope it'll lead to like a better, deeper appreciation for all the people still working, like the people who clean or deliver or like drive cars, because clearly we need those jobs. Those are the most essential jobs right now.
They are essential services.
They are not the office jobs, right? So here we are. But we'll see. I don't know. If it goes short, people will forget everything that happened. If it goes long, people will never forget. So I want it to be short. But we'll see. We'll see.
On that note, we're gonna have our first guest,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel. Daniel, I love that you joined us in the early morning.
Yeah, definitely, of course. It's not too early.
Where we have to ask where you're calling in from.
I'm calling in from Los Angeles, California, from the middle of my girlfriend's family's living room.
Nice.
Yeah.
How is LA right now?
It's crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it's I can't imagine how it is in New York right now, but LA is, full lockdown. Everyone's wearing masks at this point, gloves. Yeah, the stores are lines out the door, all of that. So
I feel like you were kind of where we were a couple weeks ago, because I feel like the people are definitely masking up for sure. I wear gloves now when I go outside, but the lines and queues are not as much as they used to be, because I think people are realizing it's going to be like a good amount of time now. So there's like no value in stocking up in toilet paper if the grocery stores still stay open in 2 weeks.
Yeah. 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 The grocery stores, like Costco grocery stores, the lines are still pretty long over there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How is it in the girlfriend's house? Is it, I assume it's a little bit more space than where you're currently living.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice because I get to spend time with like her family, and
nice.
all of us are working from home. So it's a total of 7 people, which is nice.
Nice. Quarantine together, self-isolating together. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How is your company and how has your job kind of changed now in this new world?
Yeah, I mean, company overall, like the good news is the company I'm working at right now, Slick Deals, we're not super impacted by COVID-19, like from a business perspective. All of our business is online, and we don't really hold any of our own inventory or anything like that. We just kind of post deals from other sites. So yeah, in that sense, it's been good. Obviously, us all going remote and working from home has been different, but I personally have enjoyed working from home. I feel like I'm a lot more productive. Communication with coworkers has actually felt a little bit better because we're more intentional about it. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you're actually like, oh, this is better. This is like a better way to work, which is great. Yeah, that's like a nice, beautiful side effect.
Yeah, for sure.
How big is the company overall?
So we're about 150.
Okay. And how big is like your actual team? Like the people you normally interact with?
So my engineering team and the designer I work with, we're about, let's see here, 4 or 5, about 7.
Okay, so it's like a text thread basically of people you need to actually like keep in contact with.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you finding like
that's not that bad.
People are more willing to like hop on or do more spontaneous like Zoom meetings where it's like a little bit more social, or it's a little bit lighter, or is it just kind of like business how it was, just kind of outside of the office?
Yeah, people are definitely more open to just hopping on more like ad hoc Zoom meetings. It's nice with the like Zoom and Slack plugin where you can just, /Zoom and it'll, you guys can hop in. And then my team has set up like open Zoom rooms. So like we have our own personal Zoom link, and then you can just hop on whenever you want and kind of just talk with them. So it's very like as close as we can get to just kind of hopping over to someone's desk.
What before this all happened, was your company like a very standard, like everyone came into work, used the office, kind of went back, and it wasn't really a remote kind of team?
Yeah, so we have offices in LA and then Vegas. Those are 2 locations. So all the engineers are in Vegas. So we're used to like using Zoom to communicate with each other. Yeah, like the whole most of the product team is in LA. So it's different for at least the product team to now that we're all remote. Yeah.
Do you imagine, like, assuming this eventually, like this will pass and we'll get back to some semblance of normal life, like is there anything from this period that you'd want to take like forward into the new world, or like is this something where like this is, I can make this work for this time, but when it comes back to normal, I just want to go back to what I was doing before?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think this time has been really good to just like reconnect with a lot of people more intentionally, like coworkers, but also like a lot of my friends. So we'll, you know, like we're bored, so we have nothing else to do. So like it's cool to just, you know, hop on a video call with people and just catch up. I think that's been really good. I hope we do that, you know, more frequently, even after this all passes.
Are you talking to like your family more or less than you were doing before? Like as it got up, is it stayed about the same?
Yeah, definitely, like maybe a little bit more. I think the tough part is like I can't really go to my family's house right now because my grandparents are still there. So I don't want to risk anything. So it kind of sucks that I can't like go home and, you know, just hang out with them as I normally would. But yeah, we've been hopping on video calls like at least once or twice a week. So
yeah, I feel that too with family as well, because I had my brother and his wife had a daughter, and she was born like right when it kind of really hit America. And then my parents are obviously old. My wife's parents are old, so it's like we talk to them, but we're like, I don't think we can see each other for like a good minute now. Like, so that's definitely super hard. That's super hard. But everyone's on FaceTime now, so, and everyone has free time. So my brother was like, "Oh, you pick up your calls now," and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you have like," I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll take a midday, you know, FaceTime, WhatsApp video call." Yeah, I got time now.
Yep. And I feel like it kind of like, at least for me, it's slowed me down a lot, like in a good way. You know, you kind of just like you're like, oh man, I have like so much free time, and I don't necessarily need to fill every single waking second and minute with you know, with work and everything else going on, you know. So
everyone's like kind of going through this like meditative kind of retreat, like for the people who can actually still work remote, are going through like a full like a detox almost, right?
Yes.
Like, there's all the phases of it. Of like denial, then anger, and then you're kind of weirdly at peace with it, and then you're like, wait, what do I do with this now? I don't know if I'm ever gonna just be like, I don't think I'll get a haircut for like months. And someone had a good tweet where like, no haircut's better than a bad haircut, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can like see it on Zoom, but like my beard is starting to grow out a little bit.
I don't know how many more weeks I have before this afro is too large. Like that's the real question I have, because like I only have these headphones, and I have I don't think I'm just gonna like braid my hair or something. So this is gonna be it's a test of time. I'm like really brushing up against right now.
If you leave this quarter with braids or like cornrows, I'd be incredibly impressed. I'd be like, wow, we really lead into this. I'm just not getting my hair cut out of solidarity for my barber. I will not let anyone touch this head. So then, what outside of work? Then, what have you been filling your time with? What does the day look like now?
Outside of work, just been reading a lot more, which is nice. Reading. I'm taking a class. I don't know if you guys have heard of Reforge.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like I want to say something about either analytics or growth.
Yeah, it's like a growth class. Yeah. So taking Reforge classes now, and then obviously just watching a lot more TV and playing more video games. Been playing a lot of like 2K and Madden against my girlfriend's brothers. So
nice. Involve the whole family. I started, but I like didn't finish it a long time ago. It was Red Dead Redemption. And my wife's like, so what are you gonna do tonight? I was like, I think I'm just gonna play video games for like 4 to 6 hours. that should eat up the rest of the evening. This is like kind of doing all the things I wish I did, like when I like when I transitioned out of being a kid to like, but not quite an adult, where like I finally had money for the first time, but I had no time because I was working a lot.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, definitely don't have as much money, but I definitely do have time now.
Yeah.
And I will take advantage of that.
Yep, for sure.
So I guess like what's been like the what's like been one particular thing that like you really enjoyed about all this, if anything, like is it the reading or like the free time or the people reaching out? Like what's been like you could take something else and bring it back to normal life?
The most enjoyable part, I think, just like, yeah, time spent with family. I think, again, I don't know if there's ever going to be another time when all of us are like together, just hanging out for an extended period of time. No commuting. That's really nice. That's like
how long was the commute before?
It was about 40 minutes to an hour each way every day. So
that's brutal. Oh yeah, that's why you're so much happier. That makes a lot of sense. That's like 2 hours out of your life every day. That's wild.
Yep. Yeah, that's 2 hours. No commuting, obviously. No getting ready in the morning like super early, all of that. So I've been sleeping more, which is nice too. That's a side benefit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel. Do you think your company then will adopt any of this stuff, like more optionality, like more flexibility and kind of working arrangements after this?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't think so. We're planning on moving to a new office like in April. Obviously that's not going to happen until it all passes over. But they've been doing a lot of work on like building out the new space, and that's actually still ongoing. So whenever things are over, the plan is to like move into our new office. So I don't know if there's gonna be any like changes to that plan.
Yeah, it's all kind of still in flux of things. I think everyone's just trying to adapt to the current moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to share, or any tips or any advice you have for anyone else kind of going through this transition? Any of our Merit community, any of our Merit listeners, the streamers? It can even be like a book recommendation, a video game recommendation, something you do in the day, something you do at the end of the day.
I think like just setting up a routine has been really good for me. Like in the morning, I make sure I like make some tea in the morning. Like obviously, still like shower and wear clothes. Like making breakfast in the morning every day. That's been good. I set up like my whole like work from home setup.
Nice.
Made sure that that's like ergonomic and all that fun stuff. So that's been nice. In terms of like book recommendations, one book I just read, The Making of a Manager by Julie Zuo. She was like a VP of design at Facebook. Just finished that one. And that was actually a really, really good book. So I highly recommend that. Just finished Bad Blood. The Theranos story.
If only those tests worked. I feel like we could have used some of those.
I know, right? I know. I know. It's unfortunate, but that book was crazy. I don't know if you guys have read it yet. Yeah, she's insane.
I can imagine. Sounds problematic at best.
Yeah. After I read that book, I'm just like, every new like biotech company that I see in my Twitter feed, like, oh, we're doing like coronavirus vaccines like right now. I'm like, oh my God, are you guys actually serious? Yeah.
I like how her like board of directors was all like military people, which I thought was always like, that should have been like a gigantic red flag, but here we are much later.
Yep.
Okay, so Bad Blood and Making of a Manager. Those are two really good ones. Very different energies, but I like them.
Yes, very, very different. Yeah. So depending on the mood you're in, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's super interesting. Two of my friends from college are both MD PhDs. And whenever I talk about like science companies, they're always just like 80% of their thought process is just like, is this company full of shit or not? Like it's just like everything is just
yeah.
You would think that would just be standard due diligence, but yeah, it's specialized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. And I'm glad to hear that things are going well and you're making it work, and you have 2 hours of your life back every day, which is like, amazing.
Yeah.
And you're totally, I think you made a really good point, which is like, if you can work from home and be around the people you care about to like really take advantage of it, because you're right, like I don't know when this time will happen again. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, take care, stay safe, stay healthy.
Yeah.
And we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
I love how he always calls in so early.
Yeah.
So
love it.
Love the energy. I gotta watch that. I mean, since I have the time to watch a documentary, I should definitely watch that. Like,
yeah, actually, no, that's
one.
a good point. Yeah, I think I was kind of overloaded from all the WeWork shit at that time when I was like, didn't want to read about everything failing at once, but now I have space for it.
I mean, one thing I actually want to bring up before this next person comes is like, I feel like there's this whole vibe of like all these people who are just like saying how like this is the perfect time to like build your side project and build your like side company and whatnot. I feel like that's like kind of aggressive. I don't know if that's actually like,
You mean the pandemic is not a great environment to be entrepreneurial?
Sometimes I think it's worth like kind of stating that life is it's not just about optimizing shit. Like I feel like if anything, this is like the great lesson that like life is not about optimizing shit constantly.
Definitely.
I don't know if that's like considered like controversial view, but like I don't know, man. Like I just feel like it's just like a pretty obvious like maybe we shouldn't always be just constantly optimizing shit.
That is 100. Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing I take away from like the cooking or the commute or just the consumerism. It's definitely like a pressure to optimize your time almost to a detriment. Have you read that book, How to Do Nothing?
No, what is it?
By Jenny Odell. It's about like the attention economy and stuff like that. But it's a pretty good book of just how to think about your time and how the current kind of economic system really fucks with your ability to relax.
Yeah.
Without guilt, without like always feeling like, oh, I have free time. So you know what I should do? Start a business.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll read that. And I think also part of me is just like I feel like growing up, I definitely grew up like lots of like super type A environments and like kind of like tracking to like do all the super type A stuff. So now it's just kind of like at some point you're just like, you know, like what was that life for? You know, like it's kind of like again, if there's any ever time to be like, what do I actually care about? Like it seems like during these like extra hours, and I don't know, I just
that's super real.
Yeah, like Dan Shipper and his super organizers blog. I mean, their two most recent posts are Seth Godin, and include this link, and Bo Ren. Both of them are basically some version of just like, hey, you got to kind of do like the first thing to organize is like prioritizing what you care about, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of like downstream everything from there. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents, my high horse on just in general.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think a lot of people are going to be reflecting now if they have the luxury to do that. So that's huge. Wild.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you mind if I charge my AirPods? Yeah. These guys are draining so quickly.
Yeah. We'll be back in a second while Kirk charges. AirPods will be back in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool, and we're back.
Yo.
How's it going? What I want to find a way to do for as we kind of improve this live setup, since we're relatively new to this, is see if we can have some sort of like interlude, like a musical thing or something. Like just maybe yeah, exactly. Ask cool guy Chris to play like the piano, like from his apartment, wherever he is.
live stream it.
Yeah, we'll switch between Chris and Ivan, like one of Ivan's movies. That's my new challenge, is figure out if we can do that. Another thing is another improvement obviously we're trying to make is making it so that if we have this view with like the two sides, it'll be that you can easily see like speaking side to side to see like reactions between people. So that's like another thing to add to it. All right, so first it's gonna be Chloe. I'm gonna see if she is nearby. All right. I had to show you in 1 second. I had to add a Zoom password because I don't know if you've seen, but this is a time that's ripe for hackers right now.
Oh, I've definitely seen.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to prevent that. That's I don't know for whoever's listening, Zoom bombing is like a real thing, and like I want to avoid that situation.
Is Zoom bombing where like is it just the URLs are all public, or you can just troll for the URLs and then try to join meetings?
Well, I guess it's a combination of both, right? Like you could generally just like generate a bunch of URLs to see if you can like hop in every random one. But I think the bigger time is that if someone has a public URL, basically like go into a public URL and then Zoom bombing it.
Yeah, I think they also added stuff where it's like you can screen share by default and all variations of that, right? They're trying to lock it down.
Yeah. The other one is, I guess for those listening, the other thing to do is to add a waiting room if possible for your events.
Yeah.
If you have a waiting room for it, that means that you actually have to like, whoever's in charge of it has to actually explicitly approve someone to join it. So if you actually
let people in,
a public person, so hopefully the security isn't too much security, but again, like it's a real problem right now. All right, let me see. All right, that's a little too complicated. There we go. All right. Chloe. Hey. How's it going?
I cannot hear either of you.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I can.
Okay, yeah.
How you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Just living the dream one day at a time.
Absolutely. That's what you can do right now.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Brooklyn, specifically in Brooklyn Heights, which is where I live. So I did not like escape the city or anything.
You didn't run away? I did not run away. I did not run away either.
I ran away. I admit it. I admit it without shame. But I ran early, and that's the key to not being the first.
That is key, really. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been working remote?
So I think like three and a bit weeks now.
Okay.
I was telling Randy this the other day. I think the point at which like the co-founders of my company, I think, like really realized that this was going to be a thing was when the NBA season got canceled. Like I think up until then it was kind of like, oh, we'll see, like we'll play it by ear. Then the NBA season got canceled, and it was like that night, like at like midnight, they were like, okay, we're working from home. So it was like, I think 3 weeks.
That's it. All it takes is to lose something you truly love, and then
Exactly.
people take it seriously.
Yeah, and I don't follow basketball, but the CEO of my company is like a big Bucks fan, and apparently like the Bucks are doing really well this season. So like he was really upset about that, and I was like, okay.
For me, I think it hit me when the coffee shop that I go to every day, like immediately started shifting and then shut down really quickly, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And then obviously then it propagated very quickly, but that's when I was like, oh shit, this is like very, 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 very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how is it working remote? Now that you're 3 weeks, you're past like the honeymoon period, and now you're like, we're all past that period now. Now we're like, all right, this is our lives for a little bit.
Yeah, totally. It's going pretty well. The big thing that was an issue for me was so like I don't have a setup like at home at all. I don't have a screen, like I don't have a desk. So I'm just, my laptop is like stacked on top of a stack of recipe books, and I have like an external keyboard and trackpad. And then I was just sitting on like one of our dining table chairs, and like after a week, I like couldn't move my neck, and like my back hurt. So anyway, I just got like the company like bought me a chair, like a proper desk chair, and that's been like game changer. So I'm back to being happy again. Yeah, that was the biggest like logistical hurdle. Was just sort of like, what is my work environment now? And then also like I live with my boyfriend, he's at home too. So like how do we kind of be separate and like not tread on each other's toes when we're like on calls all the time?
If you have tips on that second piece, because I'm currently in my apartment, in my studio apartment with my wife right now. So if you have any advice or any tips, I would love to hear it.
You need to like put up a wall, or like you need or like one of those you can get those, like in my old office, we had like a little like cubicle, like I don't know, you like went in, it was like a freestanding like desk, I guess.
Yeah.
And like you could go in and it was like soundproof.
I think there's like this thing that it was kind of a joke, but it's kind of like a muffler thing where you put it over your face so you can have like a phone call in a co-working space.
Nice.
But
yeah.
may or may not get that. I feel like what we end up doing is, if we have calls at the same time, we like negotiate to be like, which is the more important call, and then the other person goes into the bathroom and takes the call there.
Nice. Hey, you're not the first person to tell me that, so
yeah. I did like 3 or 4 onboardings like in my bathroom, and like the first couple of times I tried to be coy with and pretend like I'm not in a bathroom, but then I just kind of lean into the fact that I am 100% in a bathroom. And then I think I did the last one really pro, where I stood up with my back against the wall, just holding the laptop like this. So you just see my head on the wall, you don't see anything else. And then that looked pretty good, but you have to hold the laptop for 25 minutes. So I'm iterating on it. I'm figuring it out. But it's also very like, you brought up the chair, which is like there's all these things you think you need, but when you really reduce it down, it's like, oh, the chair is actually the biggest thing that's really going to be detrimental to me. So like, I'm really glad you got the
chair.
Yeah, for us going remote, like the first like week or so, like Kirk was like, yeah, like I can hold it down here for like a solid 3 weeks. I was like, Kirk, you have a studio, you need like a normal chair and like an actual desk, something.
And that was the first thing I bought, was also a chair, and I bought one for Donnie as well. And then I like walk to the co-working space and then grab my monitor and then walk back with it. Will they like let me in for 20 minutes? How is the rest of the company kind of dealing with it?
Pretty good. We're almost all based in New York. One of our new engineers the plan was always for him to be remote. He's in New Haven. So cool. It's kind of been good for us to all transition into that working remotely together, especially with this new engineer joining, and we can kind of actually start implementing some of those processes that we'll have to keep around indefinitely anyway. So that's kind of been like an unexpected pro, I think. And then the CEO has escaped to Lake George, so he's like, I'm gone for months. So
the cool thing with this coronavirus is you definitely find out who's rich real quick.
Right, yeah. Or like who has a rich uncle. George, yeah.
My my parents are like, don't come home. They're like, stay where you are. They're like, do not come to Toronto, Canada. Like, you're good. We're old. Do not come. I was like, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like my dad is in San Francisco, so like that's a no-go anyway. My mom's back in England, like there, and then my boyfriend's parents are in Vermont. But like they're older, and like we wouldn't want to go and like risk, like having like getting them sick. So
100%.
We're hanging out.
Do your parents, like if your mom's in England, does she send you things like, oh, I'm hearing it's like really scary in New York, like don't leave that? Like, are they like freaked? Because my parents are like slowly freaking out over WhatsApp, and every day they're reading the New York Times and they're like, don't go outside at all, you're gonna die. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works.
No, totally. Like my parents and I have a pretty like like we talk, but not like that frequently. And like more recently, it's like I get these texts like, everything okay? Like, like my mom calls me more often than our like once a week chat. So yeah, they're definitely like reading the news and seeing the numbers and like seeing like the big like red circle over the East Coast and kind of panicking a little bit. But I'm like, I don't know. It's like, feels kind of surreal, like to be in the epicenter of it, but not necessarily like see what's going on with your own eyes. Like I'm still reading the New York Times and learning what's going on, within like a couple miles radius from where I live. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I think Kevin, when someone we were talking to last week, was talking about like how there's like these little buckets where like everyone gets infected by the pandemic, but it's based on like, if you're a healthcare worker or a provider, like you live in a very specific world and it's much more dangerous than kind of everyone else. And then if you're like someone who had to get laid off or lost work or lost wages, that's a much more dangerous world. And then like for the people who still get to keep their jobs, but now everyone is remote and like you don't, and like some people that works out, some people that doesn't. So like even within a global kind of event, there's still like all these bubbles and pockets, right? So like I still live in that one pocket where like, if I read the New York Times, it's not my reflection, but it is still all true, right? Like those things are all still happening. I'm even more cloistered now, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, totally.
What's been like the hardest part, I guess, of this kind of transition for you? Like what's where it's been the most amount of difficulty?
I think more like specifically in the last couple of days, I feel like when I go outside now, that used to be kind of the thing I look forward to every day. Like I get to go outside, like I love running, so I get to go for a run, like this is great. And now it just feels like people are really wary, and the number of people wearing face masks has really increased. People will like step out into the road to like avoid coming close to you. And I feel very conscious of also avoiding people to try and respect that. And so I actually think like the hardest thing is like now I'm sort of like, how can I have, maybe I need to shift my schedule and like go for a run earlier so I can when it's quieter. And like also the whole kind of like groceries, like supermarket thing is like kind of just like stressful to think about. And I get like a box of vegetables delivered every week, and then like try and reduce number of trips to the grocery store. But it's still like, that's the kind of thing that like plays every day in my head, is like, when can I next go, and like what's that going to be like, and so that's probably the hardest part.
Yeah, I think that's, do you feel like it's more like you like the running or the going outside is like the escapism, or it's like bringing back the routine that you had like before all this stuff happened, right? But then when you go out and you see how much the world is like kind of changing, is it kind of like, for me, I find it like sad. Like, it's not that I feel unsafe. I just feel really, really sad when I see like kind of New York in this environment. So that's why I used to go out a lot more, but now I get sad when I go out. So like I actually go out a little bit less, and now it's like I'm in a weird loop, right? A little bit. Is that how it is for you?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you know, seeing everything closed and like kind of to your point earlier, like truthfully, in like the grand scheme of things, like I'm like so lucky to still have a job, like have a job that can transition to remote working and feel secure in that. And so when I go out and see like these restaurants that have closed, like these like mom and pop stores, and just knowing like what that means, like kind of like on inside, like that people are losing their jobs, or even seeing restaurants that are trying to stay open and they're just empty, or like they've kind of like barricaded the front. I saw a lot of restaurants where it's like they have this like front area where you can go in and order, but it's just empty, and it's like one dude in there like waiting for you to come in and order, and like that's definitely like the kind of sad part of it.
I'm from New Jersey. I mean, that's where I am now, New Jersey. But like, I remember back for 9/11, like it was this thing where it's just like a whole segment of the city which is like basically, you know, decimated. Like I'm really worried about just kind of what happens afterwards, because like, you know, people come back, but I do remember this kind of period of just like desolation on part of the neighborhoods, and this is kind of like the same thing applied to like the entire city that we love so much. And so it's like I don't know, that's like that's what stresses me out. Like honestly, I turn on like the CNBC and I'm just like, oh man, it's not looking good. So
but don't worry, we have the most competent federal government in years, so I think we'll be good.
Oh yeah, they'll solve it all. Remember how they anticipated it and played it up as much as it was a problem?
Yeah, this is mostly going to be a bottoms up solution. Whatever we come up with, it's going to be bottoms up.
It's funny because like I get the kind of like American politics, but then it's interesting like the British politics as well, where it's like how is
people... it? How is it? And how's your mom doing?
She's good. She definitely like, it's interesting. There was like a weekend I remember where I like called her, and I have a pretty elderly grandmother, and so I was kind of saying like, you know, you shouldn't go and visit her, you shouldn't let anyone visit her, like, you know, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And my mom was kind of like, well, yeah, you know, like, yeah, she's got to be really careful, but like, you know, she still needs to get out and get fresh air. And I was kind of like, no, like go inside. And then, so I think like it happened a little bit later, because then like the next week was actually when they like had the lockdown, and then it was Mother's Day in England a couple of weeks ago, and then I called her and she was like, yeah, like we're not going over, we're not going to have a dinner, like we're not going to go in and see her. And so since then, I think that's probably 2 weeks ago now, like it's really shifted, and like I think the gravity of it has really hit. But it was interesting, there was like a period of time where it felt like the UK specifically was like maybe like a week behind.
What do you think is like, because now you're in between like two worlds, right? Because I'm also grew up Canadian, so I see the Canadian response and the American response. What to you, like, what's the big difference, I guess, like culturally, or if there is a difference between like how the British people kind of are responding to it and how American people are responding to it? Obviously it's super general, right? There's lots of people in both countries, but
I think like, at least, I mean, I get all this news from my mom, so it's like through the eyes of my mother, but I think like there's something around like the NHS and these like, obviously like having a national health service, and I think there's a much more sense of like pride around that, and like this is like so important, and we need to maintain this, and we need to make sure that people don't like lose the NHS. So I think that's a part of it, and also like the making sure that like the nurses and the doctors like have the like not only kind of like the medical supplies that they need, but also like can go and get groceries. And
yeah.
so like I know here they have like the senior hours in the morning, but they also do that for NHS workers in the UK. Like you can go in early or so I think like there's a much bigger emphasis on like trying to protect those workers, which I feel like obviously is a huge issue here, but it feels a lot more like our health workers here are just getting like left behind and like don't have the protective gear that they need, and like that feels like a difference. Yeah. And then I also learned that my mom is like not willing to like stand in a line to go to the grocery store. She was like she tried to go to like 3 different grocery stores, and there was a line, and like I like, no way am I standing in that line. And I'm like, okay, like I'll do in a week and see how you do.
Really learning about ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we are learning about ourselves, and I think like there's definitely like the dark side and a lot of disappointment to it, but to this event, but I do think like globally, I'm weirdly optimistic because everyone is focused on this, and like I do see it bringing out a lot out of people, especially at the grassroots or community level, like people either helping out like the more underprotected parts, like homeless people who have like hourly jobs, people who are healthcare workers, the people that are the most vulnerable. I'm seeing like a tons of bottoms up support and like kindness and generosity, but I wish it was like from both ends, but well, I am also just impressed with how people respond to certain things too. Like certain people are like, they're really shining in these moments too.
Yeah.
Never thought we would all like Cuomo, but here we are. And that's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough for.
I think that's the other thing, like in Europe generally, it's like the response from the government. Like in the UK, they're going to pay, I think the government is going to pay like 80% of people's wages or something.
Wages, yeah.
Which is just like, I mean, you could never imagine that happening here. So I think there is like the kind of more like left-leaning countries or more kind of like have that more of that top-down approach.
I think that's where probably Canada leans a lot more to, I would say, Europe too, where like there has been a more top-down approach to directly compensating and taking care of like individual people and workers, and like either going through corporations or going through a subsidy or a direct payout. Because my brother is going through it now. He just had a kid, but he's a real estate agent, and like his income is drastically reduced to like nothing because like they're not doing showings or viewings, and the buying and selling market's drastically changed. And he's like trying to apply to the government for benefits. So yeah, totally. It's a very different response as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's dealing with different ways. And you can also see where like certain countries are showing where they're good at and where they're bad at and what they lean on and what works and what doesn't. So everyone's just learning very quickly in real time with high stakes. So it's very intense. Do you have any? Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, is there anything that you've actually found kind of enjoy about all this, like working remote, like something you bring back to normal life?
Yeah, I think actually I was saying this to my boyfriend the other night. I think like going, once we do go back into the office, like I think this has proved to me that I can be productive at home and over a sustained period of time. And I think like maybe I could like work from home like a day a week or something and have that as like a permanent fixture. Because I like something I talk about with my manager a lot is it doesn't necessarily make sense to like set these arbitrary hours of like, you come into the office at X and you leave at Y and that's when you do work. Like maybe, and I found like at times like it's the middle of the day and I'm like this, like I'm not being productive, like I just need sort of like mental and physical distance from work. And so, I go out for a run or I could go to the grocery store, and kind of that I think has given like that flexibility has helped me be more productive and kind of creative in my job. So I think that's like the part that I've enjoyed is being able to set my own schedule a little bit and fortunately like be at a company that supports that.
That's awesome.
I'm noticing that for myself as well. Like I feel like this week actually I've been like so much more immersed in actual work and doing definitely like even more than I was before. I mean, one, there's something else to do, but two, there's like since there's no distractions, it's like so much easier to just like when you have those breaks, instead of just kind of like hanging out, you like do the thing that actually gets you back in, you just do it again. And then it's kind of one hand it's like I do kind of value being able to like build space around stuff, but the second hand it's like at least for a limited period of time I actually kind of like the depth I can go on something, like, for a quarter, something. I mean, given our case, obviously trying to like, think 0 to 1 or something. So it's like,
yeah. I think you also brought a good point too, of like kind of how arbitrary the day is kind of even before this all happened, and like how it works for some people, but it definitely doesn't work for other people. Randy before was talking about like families or having kids, or if you have a medical condition, or if you do certain things, like there's so many different ways that people live their lives, and it's almost like kind of constraining or suffocating a little bit, like to force everyone through that kind of one way to do it.
Oh, Kirk, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
That's like the wrong way to kind of approach it.
We missed like 10 seconds of you.
Did I just lose? Oh, damn it.
Your AirPods. You think after the number of video calls we've done, we'd be like experts at this, but it turns out things just constantly break. So that's
those AirPods. Those AirPods are killing me. I really got it. I said something really smart, but we'll just not repeat it. Any last tips or advice or anything else you want to share with any of the Merit community or members about this time? Any like a book recommendation, a tip, a trick, a mental motto, a mantra, a motto, anything?
Wow, I definitely don't have anything that smart to say. I think
you really escalated like the stakes. You're like from like any small tips to like, what are your personal?
Yeah, what's like a daily affirmation? What's a daily affirmation you can tell other people?
I think it's like, for me at least, but something I've tried to be conscious about is like checking in with people, and like not, I think maybe I took for granted that like I get to experience this like with my boyfriend, and like we kind of have each other to lean on, and like there are people that like don't, or they live with roommates and don't have that. And so I think like just like checking in and like doing like Zoom hangouts, or like having these like informal avenues to just sort of like see how people are doing, has been like a really great way to still connect with people, but also just sort of this like constant reminder of like, I'm here, like we can talk, we can hang out.
That's great advice. Yeah, that's totally true. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of a break in your day. And stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
And you. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna go charge these AirPods in these 3 minutes that I have left.
Cool. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Randy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. I switched to the wired headphones.
Good. The chat approves. The chat approves.
Good.
Let me stop the share, and then let's bring on Will.
Let's do it. Will.
There was some interview with Bernie, and he was like calling remote somewhere, and he had AirPods on, and I couldn't help but find it funny because like even like Bernie like should be able to find someone on his team who can find the mic like, somewhere, right?
Everyone has AirPods on now.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, I would have bought us like individual like headphones and stuff like that, but all this stuff is there's like actual price gouging going on for the actual equipment, which is crazy. Like all the electronic suppliers are sold out, and the people who are available are really doing a lot.
Are gouging.
Well, you there?
Oh.
Hey.
You gotta unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey.
There we go.
I know how to do Zoom.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am well. It's day 3 of quarantine, right? I think it's the 3rd day, right?
I think it's already been 3 months.
Interesting. I'm just coming to terms with that. I'm just gonna let my hair grow out for this whole period. How are you? Where are you calling?
Really long hair at some point.
Where you calling in from?
I'm calling in from my studio apartment in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Where I live alone.
Nice. Well, maybe not so nice right now, but
yeah. Pros and cons.
What are the pros? What are the pros right now?
Well, the pros is that I don't have to. Well, I have an office. I do actually have. It's a strange apartment. It's a studio, but there's a separate small office. So, so honestly, it actually would be fine with 2 people here. Wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to take meetings in the bathroom.
Look, you do what you gotta do. You do what you gotta do to survive. We're also, I feel like Donnie and I are getting a lot closer now, and we're like,
that's good. Yeah.
We're realizing who we really, right, Don? Yeah, she nods. How is it like in your neighborhood?
It's it's funny because it depends, because I live at the nexus of 3 neighborhoods.
Okay.
So if you go to Park Slope, there are a lot of kids. It's quite busy. Yeah. You have a lot of kids running around, although everyone is, scared to death and social distancing. So you get a lot of like people just like, surprise yelling and running across the street, or like, people out in the street trying to avoid people, that kind of thing. But then the other 2 neighborhoods are Greenwood and Gowanus. Gowanus is the actual neighborhood I live in, and those are pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So I take some social distance walks down like towards the river, where there are a bunch of like abandoned buildings and factories and like warehouses and stuff.
So when you're about to pass someone on the street, what do you do? Are you the first person to pull off, or are they pulling off before you?
It depends. I try to pull off as quickly as possible, and it also depends on like if you have a wide enough sidewalk, like you can totally do it. It's okay. Yeah, you just walk to your respective sides.
I do something which is clearly I don't drive, which is I speed into it when I cross them. Like I walk. It's like I won't bend, but the time spent will be very short. Like I will speed into it, and then but I've seen people not bend away. And I also take walks with Donnie, right? So like we'll be walking together, holding hands with like plastic gloves on. So it is all kind of weird and surreal.
My niece has made me a mask.
So. Nice. Yeah. I heard. I think my sister-in-law sent me like how to sew your own mask, and I was like, "This is a fun activity you and Donnie can do together." It's like, thank you. It's like, thank you.
Like arts and crafts time.
Arts and crafts time. What's been kind of the biggest change for you, kind of day to day, in terms of working and doing work and living that part of your life?
Work has not been that different. So we're a tiny company, it's just the 2 of us, and we were already remote, as my co-founder is in Jersey, and we actually have 3 part-time people right now.
Okay.
But they're also like all working from home anyway. So and we're working with the designer, and she's also been remote also, so it doesn't. So the actual day-to-day is not very different. What's been a shame is that I was between co-working spaces at the beginning of the year, and then I finally got a place, and a friend and I are sharing an office. And we did that for a month. It was going great. We signed a 6-month commitment, and then quarantine happened, and now I'm just like paying for office space that I can't use.
Oh, so you're paying for it?
Yeah, because we've become friends with the owner of the co-working space, so we feel very bad because she's in a pretty bad position. And like we could financially do that, so it's fine. And she gave us a great deal, so I don't feel bad about that. But we also signed a contract for 6 months. Like that was because we were getting a great deal. She was like, I want you to like, say you'll be here for 6 months. And so we did that. It was before the pandemic had hit. So
that sucks. But at least you're doing if you can financially support it, to support that business too, which is good too. Yeah. Awesome. So it seems like this is your moment to shine. Y'all been working remote for a while now. This is where like you've been training for this day, right?
But the hardest part though is like I have no regular human to human interaction at all, which is like a little like is not my favorite.
Do you have pets?
No. You're
just gonna be hugging those plants soon. Give it
exactly
time.
Right. This is the only plant I have. It's the only plant I can't kill. So
it is the pro is you get your own space and you can work remote. But yeah, the social contact is definitely will get on you. Are you my friends have made a hard pivot into the FaceTime video dates. Are you yes?
Yeah. So I know that you attended several birthday parties. I've attended one surprise birthday party, and many just like sort of like hangouts with like random assortments of friends. Someone's like, hey, you want to like talk to me and like this other person. I will say like one great thing has been like video chatting with friends who don't live in New York. It's been really nice because that's not something we ever used to do. Like we would like mostly just text and then see each other, once a year or whatever.
My friend Katie said this, which was she's like, all friendships are now remote friendships. So it just brings everyone down to the same level, right? I'm telling you, I think like my old like WhatsApp group with my university roommates, like that's like blowing up right now. Like that's the most active chat that it's ever been. And that was like pulling teeth to get that going, like a couple, but everyone's like, how's life? What are you guys doing? Very, very cool.
What have you been doing to like I guess like is there anything to like kind of like calm it out since you're just like on these video calls or just like on distance walks, like anything to kind of like balance it out?
I mean the long distance walks are good. Like that's a time, especially because like I mean I'm at home, so it's like and our general cadence for meetings is only in the morning. Yeah, we'll talk at other times if we have stuff to talk about, but we usually just like do meetings in the morning and then the rest of the day is work.
Cool.
And now that I have literally and now that I have literally no like nothing to do. So it's like if I want to go on a 2-hour walk in the afternoon, like if I want to like eat lunch and go on a 2-hour walk, like that's okay because I can just work. I'll just work later because there's it doesn't matter.
There is no later. What's now?
Right.
What's today?
I'm just at home. So.
I think also with New York, I think people are kind of like reducing or like where it's like a lot of the deal with New York is you come here and you pay money for rent to go do all this shit. But now we can't do all this shit. Now we're just stuck in our small apartments. So like,
right. Yeah. In our
cool,
exactly.
Cool. What in terms of like, are there any like habits or behaviors that you've like picked up or like are trying to do or trying to modify? And it could just be like self-improvement. It could just be like, these are just fun things I kill time with now because I got it.
I've been trying to do no weight strength training every day, like different exercises. So that's been
so you're gonna come out like super buff from all this.
Yeah, God. Well, because I can't. So I used to swim because my ankle is still a little screwed up, and so I can't. I seem to be okay with the like strength training stuff, but I can't really run. And I was doing swimming, which was great, but like now I can't. So now I can't get any like intense cardiovascular exercise because there's like nothing for me to do. So, and I thought about doing like high intensity interval training in my apartment, but like honestly, like I can hear my upstairs neighbors just walking around, and I'm like, and my landlord lives below me, and I'm like, I don't know if like he wants to endure like 15 minutes of like me pounding on the floor, because it's just gonna be so loud.
The person above me works out around like noon every day, and they're going fucking ham on it for sure. So they're definitely getting strong. And I kind of do it like every other day in the morning. So like I feel it's like a Cold War, but it goes down. Like I'm not responding up. I'm like responding, and it's just propagating down.
Yeah.
Randy shared this app called like Allo Moves.
Yeah.
Which is like a video workout, but it has like yoga and all this other shit. But
Cool.
I realized Randy found out that it's like the digital membership of like a yoga athletics company, which is like really smart. And it's like a Lululemon made like a Netflix thing. It's like I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But I bet they're blowing up right now.
Yeah, it's like a perfect, just like we do this product, we'll get the people we already talked to make videos, and now it's the perfect time to shine. So
I kind of feel like now's the time to get a very esoteric hobby. Like now's the time where really like lean into like I just do like stippling paintings or some shit.
Well, the only problem is you need to get all the stuff, right?
Yeah, like what's
I definitely was looking at a piano yesterday. I definitely was looking at just like an electronic piano. I was like, maybe I can't play this, but like
it's like I'm gonna download a lot of mixing software and make mixes. I'm gonna be a DJ. That's like everyone right now. We're gonna live with a lot of half-baked hobbies. Donnie got a subscription to Masterclass, and she's like,
oh, cool.
And I watched a couple of the cooking ones. I think cooking is the only thing I'm actually like doing that's like relaxing and fun and like better for me. Everything else is just a variation of what I was doing before. Like I'm working like I worked before, like go outside like I went outside before. Even my exercise is pretty much what I did before. But cooking is like the fundamental thing that's different now.
Yeah.
Do you think you've worked more or less the past few weeks? Because for me, it's definitely been more. Like it's definitely like it's starting to increase each week. Where it's just like I got nothing else to do. I guess I'll just do this other thing. And I gotta like stop myself from going full like you get weird if you do it for too long at your house by yourself.
Yeah, this week has definitely been. I feel like I've been working a lot more. This week, I've also been like trying to get a couple sort of like big things done that have been taking a long time. And so that definitely I've been doing. Yeah, no, it's been pretty. Yeah, I think it's been pretty sad this week because most of my week has been like get up, drink some coffee, check in on the news, and then like check in with my co-founder, and then work, and then go on a walk, come home, do more work, make myself dinner, like cook something for dinner.
Yeah.
And also like my food supply right now is getting a little shady. So it's like I'm making like weird stuff for like sort of how can I combine these 6 ingredients into something that isn't terrible. And then basically like go back to like maybe watch something on TV and then like go back to work, right? So
do you believe in like the social distancing, like walks or hanging out? Like can you call someone up and be like, hey, we can hang out outside together but 6 feet apart? Like do you believe in that?
No, I think that's a terrible idea. Like it's like because it like doesn't really work and you end up like it's super weird. And the other thing is you take up all this space on the street.
Yeah.
And then other people who are like trying to like go do groceries or something, get groceries.
It's kind of like you're doing like a slow motion drug deal where you're talking to someone and it's like apart, but you can't touch, but you don't want to be close, but you have to be close. And just bring. I was actually debating that this week to be like, oh, I have some friends across the bridge. I can just walk over and then like see them. But I'm like, it just kind of be weird. Maybe it's just better to video call them. Like,
I have one friend who works at a bar that's doing to-go cocktails on Saturday.
Cool.
And so I will walk up and to the bar, and then they have like a like this big table set up so you can't get into the store at all.
Yeah.
You can like see him from behind. I could be like, hey buddy, what's up? Nice to see you.
I really like what Dwayne Reed's doing where they have like the full plexiglass and like I go to the same Dwayne Reed over and over again. So I do know the people that work there. So like, I'm like, this is like, they're like, yeah, we might keep this afterwards. They're like, cool. Nice. It's just more hygienic. I was like, I like this. They have to-go cocktails. You could do that in New York.
Yeah. It's the mayor passed a law in the city that you can do to-go cocktails.
Fascinating.
So a lot of bars have stayed open, and so his place was open their normal like week.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that was going that well, so they cut it down to just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like I think it's like 4 to 8. You can go and get a cocktail.
Okay, I might do that. If there's something nearby, I'll definitely. That's like a thing to do. I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll definitely do that.
of course, you're not supposed to drink it on the street. But.
Yeah, who's gonna stop me? Well, who's gonna stop me? Well?
Yeah. just for anyone out there who's listening, not recommending you break any laws.
Most interesting thing I've done in the burbs is like a contactless alcohol liquor store pickup, where like you basically had to go to the store, park in the parking lot, text a number, and like pop your trunk, and then they like put it into the trunk and they say goodbye, leave. So,
whoa,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was actually pretty amazing. I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah, that's
honestly human beings are amazing. Like I think human beings can adapt to like anything. That's like
there's a liquor store near here that has the same kind of deal, except they basically have their doors locked, right? And they have this wooden crate outside, and they basically, you call them and you order your booze, and then they call you and tell you it's ready to be picked up, and then you come, and then they put it outside on the crate at the door, and then they like yell your name, and then you go over and pick it up.
Love it.
That's
awesome.
That's dope. People will adapt. New York's full of hustlers like that. People will always adapt.
Yeah, actually that's not my local store. It's like kind of the one that I normally go to. And they just have a sign that's like, we're open from these hours, like just go on Drizzly and order and we'll deliver it.
That's awesome. It's probably even easier.
I saw I think in the lower Manhattan, a lot of businesses are doing cool stuff like that restaurant Golden Diner. They did like a coupon or a gift receipt where you paid like $35 and it's like it's pooled between like 5 other restaurants. So you can go
that's great.
And get like one item or get a assortment of items. So like people are like forming co-ops or like banding together. And I think there's lots of really cool ideas and things. I like Venmo'd like $2 money just to be like, please don't leave.
Yeah.
Like there's all variations of that. So I think there are some very cool ideas and innovations kind of coming out of it. But yeah, the social distancing walks fuck with my psyche for sure. Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, it's been the most another surprising of the burbs is that the social distance walking is like all the rage, which is just turns into people just walking in the streets. It's just like we gotta like really like reevaluate some.
You're actually right, because I do the lap I do is I go east to west and then south and then back up to like Lower East Side. And whenever I walk through Soho, there's just like 2 women just like fucking walking down the middle of the street.
That's like this entire neighborhood. And the thing is that makes it more complicated is that like there's certain times, like basically lunchtime and then like right like last hour of like sunlight, when it's just like peak like hours, and it's just like, all right, we really gotta like you're walking the street and basically in a crowd to this point. It's not like a major crowd. It's like we're approaching proximity, you know?
Yeah.
So you gotta.
It's kind of a weird question. Do y'all have any interaction like siblings, like nieces, nephews, like really like young, like under 13? Like, what did they think of this? Like, how did they even process it?
I talked to my family on Wednesday. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what days are.
The days blur.
It was one of the two. And I talked to my nieces and nephew, and I was like, so, you know, we because it was like a whole family call. And I think my mom asked my oldest niece, like, how's school? And she's like, honestly, this is better. she was like, I do my work in like an hour. And my brother was like, yeah, they're like done, you know, they're all done at like, you know, like noon basically right now.
Well, how old are they?
So the oldest is 12. They're 12, 8, and 7.
12 and 7.
Or 12, 7, and 6. One of those two.
That's kind of interesting. Do they not miss their friends or school, or do they like, nah, this is great?
I think that they miss their friends, but also, especially for the oldest, like she is like extremely online.
Oh yeah.
You know, she has like 8 Instagram accounts and like who knows what other like accounts that we don't even know about, you know? The dog, like they have a dog. The dog just got an Instagram account. But like, so I think for her, like, I actually think she's like, this is great because I get to spend.
World.
I get to spend as much time on my phone as I want because, like, also because my brother and his wife are both teachers, so they're both like teaching all day and in meetings.
Yeah, I wonder too if it's a similar argument too, where like less, like a lot of the school day is kind of like fluff too, right? A little bit just to keep the kids busy, right? To keep them out of home, so then the parents can work, right? And now it's like we're all in it together in one house forever.
Yeah.
But
cool.
The
younger ones also seemed like, I don't know, they seem fine.
Yeah.
I think they're like a little bored. I know my brother took my nephew fishing at like some empty state park the other day. She's like, yeah. And my mom was like, does he like fishing? And my brother was like, yeah, sure he does.
Yeah, he sure does.
And I was like, no, he does. He definitely doesn't.
No one likes fishing.
My brother does actually love fishing.
Fishing is like the perfect outside activity for social distancing. Like, you know,
like
it's just,
right.
As long as you're going with someone you're already like in a space with, it's like, it's, you know, like there's no one there but you and the fish.
You and the fish,
And even if, and my brother also pointed this out, he's like, even if you are fishing at a crowded spot, like, because of the whole fishing thing, like, you don't stand close to people because you can get, you know, you get hurt. Yeah.
It's like actively disencouraged to be near other boats.
Yeah.
That's genius. Fishing. So there'll be a big boom for fishing, is what we're saying. In the fishing market. Do you have any like advice or tips or tricks or rituals or mantras or book recommendations for anyone?
Oh my God.
Listening in. Anything that's made it a little bit more enjoyable or fun or easier or more productive?
Yeah, I will say that if you live in a place where you can walk somewhere that's isolated, it's a really great, I have like a whole like giant series of like cool photos I've taken.
Cool.
Like weird abandoned buildings and like broken down.
Yeah, and Gowanus is probably prime for that. That's beautiful, right?
Yeah, and also over in Sunset Park, if you're willing to sort of like jump over a Jersey barrier and like move in between some things, there's like this cool broken, like sort of like broken down old pier that you can walk out on. There's like nobody over there, and like, you know.
We're gonna talk to you in like 3 weeks, and you're gonna be doing like fucking parkour through like all these, and you'll be like, "I'm a free runner now." Sorry,
but it's just like but like that's been really enjoyable because it's like, you know, getting to spend time doing that during the week has felt really like, that's like really nice. Like getting outside, getting some exercise, like going where nobody is.
Yeah.
And it's also like, it's like safe. It's safe, especially now, and it's also like no one lives down there, so it's just like kind of empty. And a lot of the businesses are shut down. Like not all of them, but a lot are shut down. So
that's real. Go outside, see the world. Remember,
if you can do it.
If you can do it, Sure. Cool. Well, thank you, Mr. Will. We really appreciate you spending the time with us.
A pleasure as always. I didn't have any other plans.
You're not triple booked. You're not double booked. You're not triple booked. Be safe, stay healthy.
Cool.
Stay
you too.
And we'll chat with you soon.
Cool. All right. Later.
Bye, Mr. Will.
See ya.
Mr. Will.
Cool. Will's our last guest today. No special surprises. So anything else you want to say, Kirk, before we close it out?
I think it'll be really cool to watch these back over time to see how we all progress.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, I would love to see the captain's log of like week 3, week 4, week 12, week 107. No, none of that. I don't want that. But.
We'll have another 3 people next week, and we'll keep doing this. Cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.
Stay safe, everyone.